Welcome to SDH AM Sunday. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. This is what I look like in the morning. So it is Sunday. It is World Cup Sunday. It is World Cup Final Sunday. So I'm thinking we might be talking a little bit about that. Just thinking. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking we might be talking about it this morning. I'm just saying. So that is topic number one, I think. Well, it's going to be part of kind of topics and things. So it is one of those days where the hype, you hope, lives up to the hype. You know that it's going to live up to the hype in a bunch of different ways. And you're really looking forward to this in as much as you're not looking forward to it. What I mean by that is this. And we'll probably be talking about it most of the week. You have a tournament that had a lot of things going on, and it was a lot of different ideas. Is this going to be, is it going to be a 48-team tournament that's going to be worthy? I think we get that answered. And so literally in the middle of the group stage, you had a thought of, okay, let's just go ahead and go to 64. You wondered if you were going to get a lot of the big dogs. You wondered if you were going to be having a tournament where it was just going to be chalk. And you ended up getting that tournament by the end. But that doesn't mean, by any stretch of the imagination, that it wasn't going to be a challenge for a lot of these clubs. You had a lot of those teams that you were looking at that you were wondering, okay, is it going to be one of those where you're going to have blowouts? You had like 2 or 3 in over 100 matches. You had a lot of surprises. You had a lot of teams that came to the fore that you were sitting there and you're going, this tournament really is what we lined up and what we thought it was going to be. And so, when you have a DR Congo, when you have a team like Cabo Verde, Cabo Verde. And yes, this is the 3rd day in a row that I've worn this sweatshirt, but it's because I wear it down here and I don't wear it anyplace else. And you have all of these teams that are going to come up. You have a Morocco continue to impress. You look at those teams that were fighting their way in as thirds and trying to figure out, okay, is Croatia going to make their mark against Portugal? And it's legitimately one of those ideas where you look at the teams that made their way in unqualified. And then you sit there and you get to enjoy the experience for what it is. Yes, I filled out a bracket. My bracket had Argentina winning it. The opponent did not make it as far. And that's another one of those storylines that you sit there and you're looking at it and you're going, okay, what happens here? Paraguay takes Germany to pens, knocks off Germany, and that's it for Julian Nagelsmann. And it wouldn't surprise me that and Germany looking for Jurgen Klopp, wouldn't surprise me like right after the tournament's over, you sit there and you're in the draft. You get to name the new guy. So when you look at the last 32, just to give you an idea, here was the 32 that made it in, and we'll go back and look at the group stage, the group stage, and we'll let you know there. So Colombia, Ghana, Switzerland, Algeria, Egypt, Australia, Argentina, Cabo Verde, England, DR Congo, Mexico, Ecuador, Norway, Ivory Coast, Brazil, Japan, Belgium, Senegal, U.S., Bosnia, Herzegovina, Spain, Austria, Portugal, Croatia, Netherlands, Morocco, Canada, South Africa, France, Sweden, Germany, Paraguay. That was the 32 that made it into the knockouts. And you had all of this stuff that was going on, and I'm sitting here now also trying to let folks know on the Twitters what's going on. So, let's see. So, all right. So, hang on. See if I can type here. And NSBN. Okay. When you look at that group stage, Paraguay takes care of Germany. Morocco hung on to knock off the Netherlands. Portugal hung on to beat Croatia. You were wondering if it was going to be Croatia on the flip side, but you had you had the sensor in the ball register a hairbrush, meaning the brushing of the hair, not the actual device that sends your hair one way or the other. But you literally had the ball sensor register touch brushing off of a hairdo, and that kept Cristiano Ronaldo in and sent Luka Modric out. Spain took care of business. U.S. took care of business. Belgium and Senegal. Senegal had a 2-0 lead. 9 of the 10 teams, remember, from the African continent made it into the knockouts. Senegal had a 2-0 lead, 2 goals in 3 minutes, then they didn't, and then they give up a penalty, and they lose in AET, 3-2. Brazil and Japan. Japan had Japan had a lead, I think, if I remember correctly, and then Brazil comes back to win. Norway takes care of Ivory Coast. Mexico wins at the Azteca more than once. More than once, including group stage. England survives DR Congo in Atlanta. Well, speaking of Atlanta, we'll hear from Arthur Blank in a bit. So DR Congo proves their mettle. Had a 1-0 lead, and then just Harry Kane took over, one of the goals of the tournament. Argentina, Cabo Verde, which was just crazy on its own. Cabo Verde was like, we ain't afraid of you. And I think that might have been a bit of it was a wake-up call for Argentina to understand that the next wave is here. We'll get into Argentina's path in a bit. Egypt doubles Australia, Switzerland over Algeria, Colombia over Ghana. Carlos Queiroz basically was like, I came in here cold, and I think that we're going to defend first. And that's what happened. And they got into the knockouts, and then you had the matchup where they end up eventually losing 1-0. It was an early goal, and then they had to fight, and they're not really offensively oriented. Switzerland and Colombia that goes to pens. Bit of a shock result with Switzerland knocking Colombia out. A lot of folks thought Colombia was going to make a deep run. And they were anticipating the Colombia-Argentina match, but it ended up the other way. Argentina survives Egypt here in Atlanta. The comeback kids came through again to advance. England and Mexico in a classic at the Azteca. England suffers. We'll hear from Thomas Tuchel after what happened yesterday and try to quantify the craziness that happened. England over Mexico at the Azteca. They moved on. Norway knocked off Brazil, and that was it for Carlo Ancelotti. Belgium over the U.S. We're supposed to know this week if Mauricio Pochettino is interested in hanging and still being a part of the growth of the next stage of the growth of U.S. soccer. Spain and Portugal, that one was a Donnybrook that went 90 minutes and went 1-0. Morocco beats Canada. France over Paraguay. And once again, Paraguay was just going to sit there and make it physical and tough and grinder. And France comes out of that one, survives it. France beats Morocco. Spain over Belgium. England over Norway. It took a while. Argentina over Switzerland. Took a while. Then you get into that next grouping. And then Argentina over England. Instant classic. And if you haven't seen the videos that exist, all of the Rocky videos that are leading into today, they're worth your time. Take the dive, start when the show is over, and go diving into all of the Rocky videos. And it's like if you do Argentina Rocky, they've synced the music of Bill Conti's score to the 2 goals late in the comeback. It's good-ish. Spain over France, which got them to the 3rd place game against England, and we'll get into that chaos here in a second. And then there was the how do we phrase this? The discussions, and I'm just going to say that, of the merit of a 3rd place game. And the teams that were right on the edge, I mean, South Korea disappointed. South Korea's coach went into the airport, basically got booed in the airport, resigned, I think, 2 days later. Qatar was in. Haiti was in. Haiti and Morocco, another great fixture in Atlanta. The dead rubber in the end of the group stage. Match day 3 in Group C. The craziness that was attached to it in that first half. One of the goals of the tournament from Wilson Isidore. Curacao had their moment against Germany. And we'll get into a really cool thing that the Athletic did leading into the match today, having to do with goal calls. Tunisia, they were a dumpster fire from the absolute jump. Hervé Renard went in, coached 2 matches, was there for 18 days, and he was like, nope, I'm out. Wrapped up their group stage, and he's like, nope, I'm done. Then you had Iran with 3 draws. New Zealand was in for the first time in a while. Uruguay lost on match day last. That knocked them out of any consideration. Iraq only scored 1 time. But once again, Iraq makes the tournament. Jordan made the tournament. In Group K, Uzbekistan made the tournament. Fabio Cannavaro was here in Atlanta at SDH HQ. Nick got to see him, and that made my day. Panama did not score a goal. They were very defensive-minded in theirs. Then you had once again, Uruguay, Scotland, Korea, South Korea, Korea Republic, and Iran did not make it in. But 9 of the 10 teams from the African continent and the African qualifying did. And we got to catch up with our friend Ali Howarth and find out, okay, just how much are the margins closing. So there's a lot to take from the tournament in and of itself. A lot to take from the tournament in and of itself. And we'll be looking at it back and forth as we go here. And reminiscing today after the final match is over. And we will be at one of your greater establishments when it comes to South Downtown. And the biggest thing is you better get there early. Like literally as soon as this is over, then I'm probably heading downtown. I'm probably heading downtown once this show is over and I've got everything unplugged, plugged in, and what's heading with me and, what's staying at home. Atlanta soccer tonight, by the way, 6 to 9 tonight. And we'll have all of the reaction, all of the things. So AST is 6 to 9 tonight. Jason and the cast of thousands will be up and running, and we'll let you know what our thoughts are on the match, what our thoughts are on the tournament, and we'll lay it all out for you tonight, 6 to 9, after the match is over. 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app. Abe Gordon is in an unenviable position because Abe is going to be live from 2 to 6 on 92.9 The Game. He is the counter programming. He is the counter programming for 92.9 during the final. And so as soon as so Abe's hour number 1, you're going to have all the previewy stuff. And then Abe and then Jason and Maddie are going to have your coverage starting over AST starting at 6, looking at the champions and the World Cup in general. So Soto on the green, all points in between will be there, and it will be staring at the tournament on the whole. So yesterday, I guess that was technically opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game and the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff brought to you by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And by the way, welcome and huzzahs from the Kaiser Permanente studios. Yes, you have all of the bunting and the branding here in and around us, but at the same time, there we go. In addition to the tombstone in the upper corner, it's the Kaiser Permanente studios. We could not do anything here at SDH without our friends at Kaiser Permanente, and we cannot thank them enough for being the partner that they are when it comes to anything and everything here on the SDH network. So big thanks to everyone there at Kaiser Permanente for helping us out across the board. So that is kind of where we are today. We'll talk about this game, the last one. We'll talk about the one that happened yesterday, the crazy one. We'll hear from Arthur Blank, and we've got a bunch of stuff going on in the other divisions and other games and things like that. So we'll walk you through that as well. It is a very, very busy weekend. There was a marquee matchup in the NWSL. Georgia Impact was in the WPSL. There was a title that was determined in the USLW League. All the things across the board, and we'll run through it here this morning. All right, so let's go to yesterday and walk forward. It was nuts. I'm just going to say that. And if you follow us on social media, and the us, I mean the collective us. I mean, it is not just SDH, but all of us that are within the footprint. If you were following Jarrett yesterday, you got to kind of see Jarrett joking, but it turned up almost not being a joke. Here is our version of what happened yesterday, and I'm just going to call it goals without context because of everything that went down yesterday, and it was beyond crazy. I have no other way to describe it other than it being massively just nuts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play the highlights, and then obviously when we come back on the other side, we'll hear from Thomas Tuchel after the match. But yes, here are, as we say, goals without context. And what I mean by that is if we played all 10 goals in succession, it would be like 5 minutes. So here's goals without context, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Deportes.
Atención con Declan Rice que roba, viene, le pega, golazo. ¡Qué golazo el que acaba de hacer Declan Rice! Él adivina, él anticipa, él corta el pase francés en la media cancha. Viene Rice con el centro. De Inglaterra. De tiro de esquina, Declan Rice, el que anticipa, el que llega antes que todos es Riconza. Por sí, le pegó, Meñón que tapa, le queda saca. La Croix, otra vez Marcus Rashford. Qué lindo se puso el partido, viene Rashford para saca. Inglaterra, el toque de esa, atención con Saca, le pega, gol, 4-0, atención que aquí la tiene Upamecano, el pase para Olise, Mbappé, acá está, gol, acá viene el segundo, Francia. Dembélé la deja pasar. Olise, que bien la hizo. Acá está. Golazo. ¡Gol de Francia! Atento Meñán. Viene Bucayo. ¡Gol! ¡Gol de Inglaterra! Se la roba Upamecano y atención que va. Viene Dembélé, le pega. ¡Gol! La tiene Bellingham, enganche y le pega. ¡Gol!
That was like trimming the 10 goals in more than half. 4-0 at the break, and you were wondering literally if there was going to be some just madness that was going to go down in the locker room at the half. It didn't, but it might have, should have. Game 103, and a lot of folks were not happy with the idea of a third place game in the first place. And all I would say to you is, all you got to do is look at what happened at Hard Rock. Here's your rundown of what went down. Only the second time France has lost to England in their last 10. Mbappe, top goal scorer in World Cup history with 22. Now one ahead of Messi. And obviously Mbappe is going to have the record. Eventually, there won't be this back and forth. Close at 16, Ronaldo from Brazil, 15, Gerd Muller, Harry Kane at 14. Eighth time, Mbappe scored 2 or more goals in a World Cup match. Just the fourth player to score double figures in a single edition of the World Cup. Players with 10 or more in a single edition. Just Fontaine, 13 and 58. Sandor Koscic, 11 and 54. Gerd Muller, 10 and 70. Kylian Mbappe this year. 13 goals in his last 9 World Cup appearances. 10 goals this year, highest scored by a player in a single edition since Gerd Muller back in 1970. England, first team to score 6 goals against France in a World Cup match. Third place represents England's best finish since winning the tournament on home soil in '66. England-France joint top goal scorers with 20 each. Before yesterday, only 4 countries had reached the landmark of 20. Hungary, 27 and 54. Germany, FR, 25 and 54. Brazil, 22 and 50. France, 23 and 58. Last time 10 goals scored in a FIFA World Cup match in the 82 group stage, Hungary over El Salvador 10-1. This was the 6th match in tournament history to see 10 goals or more scored. Only the second time that England have scored 4 goals or more in the first half of a World Cup match. Only previous occasion came against Panama in the 2018 group stage when they led 5-0 at the break. Jude Bellingham has scored 7, most of any English player in a single edition. Bukayo Saka's first and England's third was the 300th goal to be scored in the World Cup this year. Saka is only the second player to score a World Cup hattie against France after Pele in the 58 semis. Saka joins Messi versus Algeria, David versus Canada's Jonathan David versus Qatar, and France's Ousmane Dembélé against Norway to score a hattie. Saka's hat trick is the 4th scored by an Englishman. Jeff Hurst in 66, Gary Lineker 86, Harry Kane in 18. Bukayo Saka, 3rd England player to score 3 goals or more in 2 editions of the World Cup after Kane and Lineker. 27 goals in 7 matches in Miami, tied with Houston and Atlanta for venues with the most goals in the 2026 edition. So that was the stats that were attached to that matchup. All the stuff that you needed to know. So then after the match, Thomas Tuchel was asked about the match in and of itself and the finish of England. And yes, he had to continue to face the slings and arrows of people that was focused on the match before and not the accomplishments on the whole. So here is Thomas Tuchel after the match.
You just said it yourself. It's the first medal since 60 years, the best World Cup on foreign soil. So I hope that the players can be proud on that in some time. We are fiercely competitive, so like we almost don't allow ourselves to be proud on a third place because 18 months ago we set the highest goal. We set us the highest dream to chase, and we were very, very ambitious with our dream to make it to the final and win the World Cup. So it's very, very painful if you miss out. The pain will stay for a while, like I said yesterday, the scar, but will go away, the scar will stay. This is how it is in high-level sport. You cannot worship this performance, this mentality today high enough. We had one day less to prepare. We have thousands and thousands of kilometers more than the opponent in our bones and bodies. We come from altitude, we come from the heat, overtime, we come from playing with 10 men. And again we found a way. Again, it was normal for us to show the mentality. It was normal for us to suffer. There's a lot to be proud of, and still a part of us will not be fully happy because we had the highest ambition. And that's basically the situation. Kobe was injured last training session yesterday morning and had a sharp pain in the back within the training and was not ready to play.
Hi, Thomas. Do you feel the criticism of you this week has been unfair, and has tonight answered some of that doubt?
The press conference yesterday felt as if we went out in group stage without a win, to be very honest. And 24 hours later, we have the biggest success in 60 years. So to put the low, to take the low not too low and the high not too high is what we try, even like for us and for the team. I think the low and the drama about what happened against Argentina was too low. But listen, that's part of it. The best thing you can do is react on the pitch and get the next win. Everything else is just talking, and talking doesn't get you points, and talking doesn't get you wins. So you have to endure it. You have to hold it and be strong and keep believing. And yeah, I'm glad that we showed the reaction. We wanted that reaction, and
there you go with Thomas Tuchel. He gets the bronze medals for England and is asking for context. Patience and context from Thomas Tuchel. Rational thought. I don't know if that's something that can be had here, people. So, yeah, Thomas Tuchel continued to have to answer the slings and arrows of everything. And that was the rundown from yesterday at Hard Rock. 10 goals, craziness. And if you have an opportunity, go back and watch the replays. The boss was watching Big FOX. I was watching Telemundo. It was off the rails on multiple fronts. And apparently, Darren Fletcher and Owen Hargreaves needed oxygen. Understandably so. So if you have the chance and have the means, go back and watch watch both replays and the craziness that ensued from all of that. So that was yesterday. So what about today? How did these teams get here? Spain, all done and dusted in the 90s. Austria, Portugal, Belgium, France. Mikel Merino, super sub, came in twice. Belgium's Charles de Ketelaere is the answer to your trivia question. He's the only player to score against Spain in this tournament. Didn't concede. Cabo Verde was the only team really to frustrate them, goalless draw in that opening match, which was here in Atlanta. Knockout rounds for Argentina. Cabo Verde and Egypt winning both 3-2. Extra time to see off Cabo Verde, down 2-0, 11 minutes to go. Against Egypt. And the Lionel Messi 2-assist comeback to get the win there. Added time against Switzerland in the quarters, winning 3-1. Julian Alvarez with a massive goal there. Stoppage time against England, a goal down. That's your Enzo goal. And then the Messi assist with the right foot. Starts with a bang, hat trick against Algeria, finished top of Group J. Spain played a day earlier, 24 hours of extra rest. In 13 of the last 14 finals, the side that played the first semi also won the final. Michael Cox at the Athletic says the pattern broadly holds in the Copa. 5 of the past 7 sides with extra rest prevailing, and that extra day is going to be the difference. It has been in the past. First 15 finals of the World Cup between 1930 and 1986. Both teams scored. Brazil's 5-2 win over Sweden in 58, Argentina's 3-1 win over the Netherlands in 78. Then between 90 and 2014, run of finals which were either one-sided or just didn't have a whole lot of goals. 1-0, goalless draw in 90, 3-0, 2-0, 1-1 in 90, 1-0, 1-0. 2018 and 2022, 6 goals each. The craziness that happened in Qatar that went to PKs. Third World Cup final Messi has played in, equaling Cafu's record for the most appearances. Lost in 2014, won in 2022. Cafu won in 94, lost in 98, won in 2002. Cafu also came on as a sub in 94, so Messi will be the first to start in 3 finals. If he scores, he becomes the 6th player to score in 2 World Cup finals, scoring in 22 but not in 14. Vava scored in 58 and 62. Pele scored in 58 and 70 for Brazil. West Germany's Paul Breitner, 74 and 82. Zidane, 98 and 06. And Mbappe in 2018 and 2022. If Argentina win, they become just the 3rd side to defend the world title. Italy in 38, Brazil in 62. Slavko Vincic is your referee. The Slovenian is he is the man in charge of his crew. Tomas Klančnik, Andres Kovacic are your ARs. Jordan's Adham Makadme is your 4th. Vincic, who is in Slovenia's top flight as an official there. Refereeing in his 2nd World Cup, earlier in the tournament showed a red to Ecuador's Piero Hincapi following a VAR recommendation for covering his mouth when speaking to Santi Jimenez. The crew, Vincic, Klančnik, Kovacic. Makadme is your 4th. Your reserve AR is Mohamed El Khalaf from Jordan. VAR is Bastian Dankert from Germany. AVAR Nicolas Gallo from Colombia. Support VAR is James El Mahdi from Qatar. Standby VAR, Tatiana Guzman from Nicaragua. And your standby AVAR is Guillermo Pacheco from Mexico. The three of them in the VAR booth will be 2 will be sitting and 1 will be standing, and they will be a part of a graphic that will take up a third of the screen as they're staring at monitors. There's been a lot of talk about the pitch. We'll find out what it's going to be like. Apparently, the air quality alert with the wildfire smoke, rain returned yesterday. Showers are going to hang through the morning. 3 o'clock start. Temperature is supposed to be near 85 degrees on the surface at the Meadowlands. Secondary market, we'll check that in a bit and see where things are when it comes to going in the door. You're going to have the opening ceremony that's going to start at 1:30. Tom Cruise, Laura Pausini, Nicole Scherzinger, Robbie Williams, I Show Speed. So Pausini and Robbie Williams are going to sing the FIFA anthem. Jennifer Hudson performing the U.S. anthem before the match gets underway. Highest profile World Cup award, the Golden Boot. Right now, Messi and Mbappe, 8 goals going into. And so if they finish level, assists is the tiebreaker. And so right now it's Mbappe with some work for Messi to do. Golden Ball, the player determined to have been the best at the tournament. 22, it went to Messi. Silver Ball and Bronze Ball also do exist. Shortlist is drawn up by FIFA's technical study group, and then members of the media vote. Young Player of the Award goes to best performer age 21 or under. 22, the winner was Enzo Fernandez. Golden Glove went to Emi Martinez in 22. Fair Play Award presented to the team with the best disciplinary record. England won that one 4 years ago. In December, FIFA released their financial package, added to it in April. Overall financial distribution to the 48 competing teams, $871 million. Though that does include preparation costs. Prize money pot specifically is $655 million. Winner gets $50 million. Runner-up gets $33. Winning federation yesterday gets $29 million. $27 million going to the loser. So 29 and 27 go to England and France. So halftime show, which is going to be longer than the FIFA mandated length of a halftime, got the waiver, is expected to last at least 20 minutes. Post Malone, Madonna, Shakira, Burna Boy, BTS, Justin Bieber, and Gustavo Dudamel. Expected to last 20 minutes. Now, getting into the numbers and everything else attached to Match 104. We mentioned everything and how they got there. Last meeting, March 27th of 2018. It was a friendly at the Estadio Metropolitano in Madrid, and it was a friendly. Spain won that one 6-1. Sides have faced off on this stage on one occasion. Argentina won back in the group stage in 66. Overall record across 14 meetings, perfectly balanced. 6-6-2. Last two encounters, Albiceleste 4-1 in 2010, La Roja 6-1 in 2018. Spain could become the first nation to hold the World Cup and the Women's World Cup titles simultaneously. Made the Iberians one of two countries, the other being Germany, to have won both events. First time reigning European and South American champs set to go in the trophy decider. Spain won Euro 24, beating England. Argentina won Copa America, beating Colombia in extra time, or after extra time. Best defense, most prolific offense heading into the weekend before France scored what they did yesterday, and England. Both teams unbeaten. Spaniards have won 6 straight. After the draw with Cabo Verde, Argentina, 100% record. Match has gone to extra time for the last 5 installments. South American teams have prevailed in 8 of the 11 when CONMEBOL and UEFA have gone against each other. Second World Cup final for Spain, who knocked off the Netherlands 1-0 back in 2010. La Roja undefeated in regular time in their last 37 matches. 28 wins, 9 draws. They haven't lost since March 22nd, 2024, when they lost to Colombia 1-0 in a friendly in London. Longest ever unbeaten sequence is equal to Italy's record for a European nation. Morning ropes set between October 2018 and September of 21. Spain ended that run, winning 2-1 in a Nations League encounter, October 6th of 21. Spaniards, 13 goals, their best tally at a single installment of the competition. Their previous record was 11 back in 86. Spain have won their last 6 fixtures, tying their best ever streak in the competition. They did that in 2010. Only Brazil, who's won 11 in a row between 02 and 06, and Italy, 7 in 34 and 38, and Argentina, 7 in this tournament, have put together longer winning runs. 2010 world champs have only let in 1 goal. More than any team have ever managed before, keeping 6 clean sheets in a single tournament. If they get another shutout today, Luis de la Fuente breaks the record for the fewest goals conceded by a FIFA World Cup winning side, which currently stands at 2. Spain's 2010 team, one of 3 teams to have captured the title, only seeing their net scored upon twice. France in 98, Italy in 06. 8 clean sheets in their last 10 knockout stage matchups. 3 teenagers have played in the final, all ended up on the winning side. Pele in 58 at 17. Bergomi, 18 for Italy against Germany in 82. Mbappe, 19. When he lined up wide in an attacking role for France against Croatia in 18. Both Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsí, both 19. Both poised to set a new record for the most outings at the World Cup before the age of 20. Currently sitting on 7 appearances. Mbappe did that as a team. Mikel Oyarzabal could become the first Spanish player to score 6 or more in a World Cup. Real Sociedad's scorer has 5. Butragueño and David Villa each had that in 86 and 2010. Fabian Ruiz is set to earn his 50th cap. He hasn't lost in his previous 49, which is insane. 34 wins, 15 draws. Unai Simon, 6 clean sheets, highest by a keeper in one version of the World Cup. At 65 years, 28 days old today, Luis de la Fuente could become the oldest coach to celebrate winning the World Cup. Vicente Del Bosque, 59 and 200 when he guided Spain to their win in 2010. Argentina's 7th appearance, one behind Germany, looking for a 4th title, which would equal Germany and Italy. Brazil, 5-time winners. They're the only one that claim more. Could become the 3rd team to go back-to-back, Italy and Brazil. Italy 34 and 38, Brazil 58 and 62. South American teams have now reached consecutive World Cup finals on 2 occasions, doing so in 86 and 90. 6th time that the title holders have returned to the last game of the following edition. Italy, Brazil doing it twice, Argentina in 86 and 90, then France. Argentina have won 8 of their last 10 knockout phase games against European teams. Scaloni has their nation's best ever unbeaten run right now, 13, 11 wins and 2 draws. They've won 7 straight for the first time ever. Joint second best winning sequence in the Cup ever. We mentioned that with Italy and Brazil. Messi and his team could become the first team to get 8 victories in a single edition. Obviously, having more matches in the group stage will do that. Scored 2 or more goals in their last 13. Argentina's 19 represents a national record for one tournament. And remember, all of this is kind of slightly stilted because you have more matches. Hungary, Germany, Brazil, France. Scaloni aiming to become only the 2nd coach to get 2 World Cup titles, following Vittorio Pozzo, who coached Italy in 34 and 38. Messi will become the oldest outfield player to make an appearance, eclipsing Sweden's Gunnar Gren, who was 37 and 241 back in 58. Messi is 39 and 25 days. 2nd most senior player to feature for the trophy in the last game behind Dino Zoff, who helped his team knock off Germany FR to claim the title in 82 at 40 years, 133 days. Messi could become only the 2nd player to have lined up in 3 World Cup finals. Cafu came in as a sub in 94, started the other 2. He would be the first to start in 3. Messi has a goal contribution in his last 11 games. 13 times himself, 6 assists. Lautaro Martinez has come off the bench to find the net in each of the last 2 rounds. No substitute has ever scored in the quarters, the semis, and the final. 5 members of Argentina's squad play in Spain with Atleti. Teammates of Alex Baena, Llorente, and Pubil. Nico Gonzalez spent last season there on loan. Betis's Lo Celso is the only other Albiceleste player linked to a Spanish club. Pedro Porro and Christian Romero were with Spurs in 23. Messi has hit the mark twice in friendlies against Spain, from the spot in a 2-1 loss in November of 2009 and then a 4-1 win in Buenos Aires September the following year. So that's all your stats and all your numbers. It's a lot of stats and a lot of numbers. Heading into this matchup, getting through that defense. 8,000 to get in the door, huh, Ropes? Okay, so 8,000. So, all right, so if that was Ticketmaster, well, let's see. And apparently they are recommending everyone to get in the door as soon as humanly possible. That's what they were telling the press anyway. The press, you better get in as soon as humanly possible. Match 104. And then, of course, there's an ad for the Gypsy Kings underneath it. Yep, 79.24. It went down $76 between the time that Ropes typed it and by the time I went and searched it. There's some... Okay, so there's no seats available, but you will sit there and flash that there's a section that's available. So right now, okay, so in section 117, you've got 2 tickets for $18,207. In 110, $19,420. That's lower bowl. Nothing in the, well, there's in one, nothing in the 200s. And literally, it looks like there might be less than 100 seats available for the match in and of itself, and they're all in the lower bowl. So $327, and these are resales, by the way. So resale at $79.24. Then, and this is all in like $327. This one section, $8,000, $8,100, and then all the way to that $19,421 in section 110. $19,421. Frankly, I'm either buying a car, paying off my student loan, or working on the mortgage. And apparently one individual who had come over here from overseas to watch as many matches as possible actually turned a profit because they had tickets to one of these late knockouts. Actually turned a profit. Saw a lot of games, turned a profit because they had tickets at the end. I guess they did the 40 ticket deal. It's like you can only get 40 tickets total. 10 matches and 40 tickets, I think, were the max. Juice boxes in this one, and we'll get into some of the other props and things that are here. So let's see if it's going to behave and let me know. Okay, so hadn't really moved a whole lot. By the way, the Medio is up. Last round of the Medio is up. And it has not moved since yesterday's Medio was posted late last night. Spain's a plus 129. 90-minute draws a plus 200. Argentina is a plus 260. Everything else in the Medio, 4 player evaluations, whether they get a goal, an assist, or a goal or an assist. Messi, Oyarzabal, Lamine Yamal, Julian Alvarez. Enzo Fernandez, does he get a shot on target? How many? Is it 1 or more or 2 or more? The total is 2.5. Over is plus 130. Under is a minus 163. And is the game decided after penalties? Tiebreaker, by the way, is the number of fouls total. And so for those of you who are in the Medio is posted. Today will determine winner number 2 of the Campeón de Campeones when it comes to picks of the week. After this week coming up, so the last week of the month, we will start the Clausura. So we will have an Apertura champion, a Medio champion, and a Clausura underway. Those 3 in picks of the week that's normally attached to soccer over there, they will go in the Campeón de Campeones tournament, which will be MLS Cup. We'll come up with 8 plus a tiebreaker for the Campeón de Campeones. And then the winner of the Campeón de Campeones gets a high and hearty handshake, and that'll do it for 26. And then we'll come back for the sprint season in 27. So that's the rundown of picks of the week. The Medio is posted. So for those of you who are in the Medio, make your picks before 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now, 8 matches were had here in Atlanta Stadium. And when you look back at those 8 matches, you had maybe one match that did not live up to any kind of billing. And so right now, it legitimately was one of the great venues, and I mean that for both the idea of the tournament itself, from an Atlanta stadium perspective, it was voted number one with fan satisfaction, all the things. City of Atlanta, what was done with fan fests and watch fests and all of the different places where you could consume this tournament. At the last match at Atlanta Stadium, Mr. Blank was available for questions and answers. It was a Q&A session. And we got to catch up with him on a variety of topics. And I'll post a written piece once things calm down. And it was a wide-ranging conversation with him in about 7 minutes worth of time. And so here is part of that conversation. Like I said, you on soccerdownhere.net. It will be more of a written piece, but here is a little bit of the conversation that the assembled media got to have with Mr. Blank about what he had seen in Atlanta Stadium with this particular tournament and everyone that got to walk in the door and what it means going forward for the city and for soccer and for both here in the footprint.
Well, I just had an opportunity to meet the president of FIFA and all their senior leadership, and I'll tell you and I'll tell our fans what I told them. I think that this has been an incredible experience for Atlanta. We've done an unbelievable job here in the stadium. Out of the 16 stadiums across North America, we're ranked number one, which is great. I think Atlanta itself, the mayor, our governor, everything surrounding it, Centennial Park, Fan Fest, over 500,000 people attending there. We've had 550,000 people attending these matches. And they've all had great, unbelievable time. But I was telling them, the thing that was most meaningful to me is that we've really had an opportunity to build great personal experiences for everybody in this building. Their hearts, their minds, their human connections to each other, to themselves. And that's a beautiful thing to be part of. So it's a beautiful game. It's called a beautiful game. I think the closer you get to it, you realize played in 211 countries and 48 part of World Cup and 104 matches, is that you've seen that repeatedly. It's unbelievable human connection. And I think it's coming to America at a perfect time and coming to Atlanta at a perfect time. And I couldn't be prouder of all of our associates here, our leadership here, our mayor, our governor, all the agencies involved in creating this unbelievably smooth environment. So, yes.
Arthur, what's been your favorite part about seeing the city come alive and welcoming the World Cup in the way that it has?
Exactly what you said. Come alive, welcoming the world here, welcoming fans from all over the world, all over the United States, the camaraderie, the connections, the combativeness, their passions, how vocal they are, how much they're committed to each one of their teams, and that's been a beautiful thing to be part of. And Atlanta's handled it so well. I mean, you can have all of that and not handle it well, but Atlanta's handled it extraordinarily well. So it's one of the highlights of my life, personally. From a sports standpoint, this stadium has hosted a million great events, Super Bowls, national this, national that, all kinds of championships. Certainly being part of World Cup and these 8 matches has been, one of the major milestones in my life. And I think for most everybody who's enjoyed a match here or enjoyed Fan Fest, either outside or any place throughout the state.
Sir, have you heard the stadium as loud as it was in the pregame with Argentina's supporters?
I don't think so. Honestly, I mean, it was, but I mean, they're the fans from England. I mean, every match is that way. I mean, every match is almost the same way. It's just this adrenaline, this sharing of human emotion, this human connection, which is a beautiful thing to see. It's what we all want in our lives every day. And we have to find a way to create World Cup every day in our lives to bring that much joy to ourselves personally and to everybody else we're connected to. And Atlanta's done a great job of doing that. We've got to continue to do it.
Arthur Blank, during the last match at Atlanta Stadium, as it was called Atlanta Stadium. And so it was a really interesting conversation that we got to have with Mr. Blank on the legacy of the tournament and what it means, and hopefully growing from here. And he did mention later on in the conversation about doing more events with FIFA. And don't be surprised, once again, when 31 rolls around, maybe 38. So it will be interesting going forward to see where things stand. Oh no. 3-piece cuckold. 3-piece cuckold. You're going to get blocked. And you're also going to get reported as a bot. Follow bots. No, you're not a follow bot. It's the other bot. Get your AI viewers. We don't need AI viewers. We need actual feedback. Viewer solicitation bot. Boom. Okay, 23 characters. There you go. All right, submitted. Getting into the matchup in and of itself, Atlanta soccer tonight has been a staple of programming on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app for 49 days now. I think it started June 1st. And obviously before then, I think Jason was on a week before that. So you're talking what? So like 56 straight days that Jason has been on the air giving soccer content on AST or something akin to that on 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app. So last night, as a part of the analysis getting ready for today, and they had John Aiken on, the head coach from Oglethorpe, to kind of break down things tactically. Opta, in their math, has Spain at a 59.5% chance of winning with their low XG that they have granted in this tournament. I believe it was a 0.31. But last night on AST, Jason kind of opened the door, as he always does, on other topics attached to the principles in a match that he's looking at. So here's your food for thought, and something that we didn't necessarily realize and or remember. Brought it up last night on AST, and so here is that segment of AST from last night, 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app.
I want to touch on a couple different things that haven't got as much play in the United States maybe on this. 10 years ago, almost exactly 10 years, maybe 10 years and a month ago, Argentina lost the Copa America Centenario final to Chile at MetLife Stadium, where the final is going to be in the World Cup tomorrow. Scoreless 90, went to extra time, went to penalties. Messi had lost 2 finals in the previous 2 years, the last one in penalties as well to Chile in the Copa America. He took the first penalty in the shootout, and he missed it. At the final whistle, he sat down on the field. He was devastated. He was in tears. And in the hallway outside of the locker room, he announced his international retirement at 29, 10 years ago. It's been a very different next 10 years. But anyway, he announced his retirement. He said, my decision's made. I haven't managed to become champion with Argentina. I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore, basically. Teammates, including Javier Mascherano, Kun Agüero, a teenage Enzo Fernandez before he became a teammate, wrote a letter that went viral in Argentina at the time.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I got to reread it the other day. That's incredible.
And I think it took him walking away for Argentina to build a different relationship with Lionel Messi, because at this point in his career, he was the best player in the world and had won tons of things with Barcelona. I think he'd won 3 Champions Leagues by this stage. But he hadn't won with Argentina, and there was a lot of frustration because Argentina hadn't won anything since '86, since early '90s with the Copa America. 91. So him leaving, I think, changed that relationship. And he's only played at MetLife one time since. It was a Copa America match in '24 against Chile, and Argentina won. He picked up an injury, didn't play a ton in that. I think what's so interesting about the full circleness of this entire day for him is, yes, he's back 10 years later in another final in the same building, but he really grew up in Spain. He went at 13 years old to Barcelona, leaving Rosario, Barcelona, the club, agreed to fund the hormone treatments that he needed and had been getting in Argentina until his dad lost his job and couldn't afford them anymore. And he was always a small boy, and he needed hormone treatments to reach a normal height. They couldn't afford it, and they couldn't find a club. Newell's Old Boys couldn't afford it at the time. River Plate, Boca Juniors couldn't afford it or weren't interested in paying for it at that time. And a scout had seen him. Barcelona ended up agreeing to fund it, and he grew up from 13 on in Barcelona to the point that he could have represented Spain. But he decided not to because he loved Argentina maybe more because, again, he left and it maybe meant more to him being on the other side of the ocean. So it's fascinating that now he gets a chance. And we talked about it last time. He'd never played England before. He's never played Spain in a meaningful game before. And this is the most meaningful game of all games.
Atlanta Soccer tonight with Jason and Maddie last night. John Aiken joined once again for tactics. And it was, those kinds of things you get on AST all the time. You get all of that, and Jason's basically Vulcan chess and three-dimensional view of everything going on in the sport. And so AST has done, and Jason, I think Jason might be getting some sleep after the match in Foxborough with Atlanta United and the Rebs, or maybe on the days in between. Because remember, in addition to all of this, he did Atlanta Soccer tonight from Nashville on the road with the MLS season kicking back in. And now with today, once again, everybody at South Downtown. Then after that, you've got to get ready for the road trip to Charlotte. Then you come back. Then you're going to Foxborough. And then you're off and running again when it comes to Atlanta United. It's All-Star Week after that. Then you get into Leagues Cup. We're going to be paying attention to that too. So nothing stops. Nothing stops us. Nothing stops, period. So that is it's kind of the rundown of where things are. By the way, if you would, please, since it is now past the halfway point of the show, it's time for our hydration break, brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, 2 locations, Johns Creek and Cumberland, at Cumberland Parkway and Cobb Parkway. And the store at Cumberland is huge. Was there a couple weeks ago on a Saturday, and they got a lot of stuff. You go in, you'll impulse buy, trust me. Once again, local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, partners for us here starting in 2026 with Atlanta United and all of our coverage here at SDH. So hydrate away, people, since we're past halfway. From the Kaiser Permanente studios, it is SDH Sunday AM for the last time in the foreseeable future, because today's the end of the World Cup. 104 matches, 104th one is this afternoon, and it will be interesting to see how this one evolves, see what happens in this one. We'll find out what happens with match 104. Can Spain's defense hold up with what Luis de la Fuente has orchestrated, especially with a healthy Rodri? Or can Argentina answer the bell one more time the way that they have in this tournament? FIFA reported more than 6 million tickets sold across the tournament. The stadium is running above 99% capacity. I know a lot of folks are sitting here going, I don't know. No worries there. Brewhouse South Downtown, 6 to 9. We're all going to be there to break down everything. Abe Gordon, 2 to 6 on the green. Me, Maddie, Jason at Brewhouse South Downtown. We get a little Soto Mojo tonight from 6 to 9 after the match is over, but we'll be down there at an incredibly early time. So Founders Green, Abe Gordon, 92.9 the game, 2 to 6. He'll be handing off to us. Jason's going to drop in, obviously, updates throughout the show. It's going to be on the big screen in the park. And so we'll be at Founders Green. Hope to see a lot of you there. We anticipate that it's going to be a madhouse, and understandably so. But AST, for the last time in a row, 49, probably 56 days. And this is our 49th day of going in a row. And we've got to pick up with SDH AM tomorrow morning. So we'll be at, 54 days in a row by the end of this week, just in time for Atlanta to be in Foxborough to take on the New England Revolution. So that is our rundown for today. So once again, hope to see you at the Brew House in South Downtown, AST 6 to 9, Founders Green. They're going to have it on the big screen. Looking to see you down there at Soto for everything that is attached as we join you, as always, from the Kaiser Permanente studios here in hour number 2. Okay, so also on the board, let's go all around the world. With all of the news of the morning, Chelsea have jumped in and grabbed Morgan Rogers to the tune of £117 million. 6-year deal, so you can spread that 117 across. So basically, 19.5 over 6. And that surpasses the previous club record fee in picking up Enzo Fernandez, and just north of the Elliot Anderson deal with Manchester United. Real Madrid are looking to sell Vinicius Jr. now because of a contract standoff. Latest offer set 6 to 10 million euro below the Brazilian demands. Jose Mourinho wants the situation resolved. He wants to build the squad around Mbappe. So that is the news there. Will get you into gossip, rumor, and innuendo toward the tail end of things. Around the leagues yesterday, Atlanta United 2, frustrating night for the Twos. It was a 1-0 loss to 2-0 loss to Huntsville City Football Club. And it was goals in the second half. Maximus Eck got his 9th in the 53rd, and then it was Molina scoring in the 70th. And Atlanta United dominated in the stats, but dominating in the stats doesn't get you a Duke. 14 total shots compared to 9, none of them on target. Chris O'Neill and Huntsville City Football Club content to be in a 4-5-1. At times you'd have line of 5, sometimes you'd have 6. Possession in the first half was basically 67. It was basically 2-1 Atlanta United. Atlanta United had all the activity, or 2/3 of the activity. Huntsville City absorbed it. And then you get caught going over the top, funky bounce. Then Dominic Chankui can't control it after it takes a higher than anticipated hop. And then it was eventually over to Maximus Eck at the far post, and he slots it in, and it was 1-0. And then you end up with another goal in transition 17 minutes later. Atlanta United having to fight back down 2. And the Twos surrender points on the road, but they now have 5 of their next 6 at home. Next week from today, I believe, is the next one against NYCFC 2. And then the following Friday with Carolina Core coming to town. So 5 of their next 6 are at home. And we are awaiting the official announcement as to where, because they have already on social media thanked the Turner Soccer Complex for helping them out here during the World Cup window to give them a home. And we'll find out where everything is going to be orchestrated going forward for Atlanta United 2 in MLS NEXT Pro, by the way. With that result, Atlanta United 2 is obviously still in the playoff picture, but if they had won last night, it would have been pushing 4th in the Eastern Conference. But as a result, they would have been in 5th after last night. But as a result, still in 7th, 9-6-3. And Crew 2 with their result at 39 points, Crown Legacy at 37, Orlando City B at 35, Chattanooga FC at 34, Red Bulls 2 at 32, one more win than the Revs. Atlanta United 2 right now, 30 points, 7th place, 2 points ahead of NYCFC 2. Chicago Fire 2 is in 9th at 27, Philadelphia Union 26. Connecticut United and the Young Reds at TFC both have 7 wins. Better goal difference to Connecticut United. They're in 11th. Huntsville City with the win. They're now at 25 points, but they have 6 wins. They're in 13th. Core is at 18 points in 19 matches. FC Cincinnati 2, 14 and 18. And Inter Miami CF2 at 0-12, 4 and 1. They have 5 points on the year. They're dead last in the Eastern Conference. And so that's your rundown of MLS NEXT Pro with Atlanta United 2. Yesterday in WPSL, it was the league semifinals. Georgia Impact was taking on New York Athletic Club at the Kansas City Current Complex in Riverside, Missouri. They were the first semifinal, and it was an early goal that was surrendered by Impact. And then you get into the second half, an equalizer for Impact, courtesy of the WPSL, their own selves, and WPSL TV.
The first substitution of the second half. Lays it off. Houston has a hit. Houston! Yay! Oh, curls it in! Sarah Houston. Goal! And we're level at 1 just past the hour mark at Riverside Stadium. Sarah Houston with the Impact. Her third goal of the season. Georgia native curls one in. Beautiful hit. She looked dangerous in the first half. Not much involvement toward the end of the first half, though, and then now in the second half has had some more touches. That's her biggest touch yet.
That's such a big goal for Georgia Impact because, you know, now the momentum could change. You know, this gives them a little bit of life back in them to where they're like, okay, we can do this. Let's keep going.
1-1 north of 90 minutes. And then it was a looping header that got over Jada Foos in the 115th. New York Athletic Club got the win 2-1. They are going to be facing Kansas City Current 2 for the WPSL Championship later today. I believe it's night side in Riverside, Missouri at the Kansas City Current Complex. And so WPSL soccer.com, you can go there, watch on WPSL TV. But a record-breaking season for Georgia Impact and head coach Robert Roddy. Congratulations to them for making it to the national semifinals in the WPSL. And obviously a heartbreaking loss. 2-1 in extra time in AET, and it's a great season for Impact. And obviously, it ended two matches sooner than they would have liked. So, it was a great season for Impact, and we can't thank them enough for letting us be partners with them and telling stories. And Maddie being the voice of Georgia Impact in the WPSL. So, if you see him up in Canton, you see him up there in Cherokee County. Take your favorite Georgia Impact player, or take your favorite person of the administration, pull them aside and give them a pat on the back and tell them that they had a fantastic year, which they did. National semifinals for Georgia Impact in the WPSL, and it was fun to be able to tell those stories and be a part of that all season long here. NWSL, that was also going on yesterday. Handful of matches in the NWSL, and with their schedule, a couple of matches to look at from what happened yesterday. Today, by the way, 7 o'clock, after all of the World Cupness has subsided, Boston and Washington Spirit are going to be playing at Centerville Bank Stadium in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. So Boston Legacy, Washington Spirit tonight at 7. That one is on Victory Plus. Yesterday, in the weekend, was Bay shutting out North Carolina Courage by the score of 3-0. That one was on Paramount Plus and CBS. Chicago loses to Angel City. That one was on ION at Martin Stadium in Evanston. 2-0 the final there. Angel City gets a win. Two matches that we wanted to kind of focus on. The way that the NWSL did yesterday, it was genius. They had everything going on. It was noon, 2, 4, 6:30, and 8:45. And you had to follow where they were when it came to the programming grid. Supposed to start on ESPN, and supposed to start on Big ABC actually at noon, but weather in the New York area forced the start of Gotham and Seattle to be pushed back on Randall's Island to about 2:45. So you ended up with games going simultaneously, and I think they shifted Gotham and Seattle over to the 4-letter network. Here are the highlights in that match, and it was a Donnybrook on Randall's Island. Jen Hildreth and Leanne Sanderson on the call on Big ABC and on ESPN, which is where I think the match ended up, was over on the 4-letter and on their streaming services. So here's your highlights from Gotham and Seattle Reign from Randall's Island yesterday.
Official puts it in the corner, and Seattle has their lead. What do you think the benefit is here, perhaps? Because it's felt like Seattle had the momentum, and Darlene's looking to continue that now into the box. Darlene, unselfish, another! She'd prefer to put it in the back of the net, has a chance here, and does! Goal for Gotham! It was coming, and finally!
It's a lovely ball in from Jaden Shaw. Esther Gonzalez was knocking on the door for Shaw. Lovely little finish. I think Miller will be really disappointed. I don't come from a place where I think no goalkeeper should ever get beaten on their near post, but I think she'll be really, really disappointed with that one.
Shaw danced enough to open some space. Shaw.
Esther Gonzalez, she seemed reluctant to really celebrate. It was a lovely little touch from Jaden Shaw. Almost hits her stomach. She definitely meant that, Jaden Shaw. Lovely assist, look at that. And I feel for the Seattle Reign, but it's been coming, and this is what happens when you have this quality. Bruninia's been putting some really good balls into the box.
This is what the game has been. This has been the hero. Kerr has time. Will she line it up? Lavelle!
Quiet in games. It was a lovely little break. Esther Gonzalez plays this ball that was actually meant for Jaden Shaw. Sam Kerr was trying to work a window of opportunity for herself, and Roosevelt with no backlift. What a beautiful goal.
So down 2-0, goals in the 14th and the 22nd, and then Gotham scores 3 times. Esther Gonzalez 81st, Esther Gonzalez 90+4, Rose Lavelle 90+7, down 2-0 to win 3-2 on Randall's Island yesterday. Big comeback win for Gotham. Also on the board, bit of history, and it was in Colorado. And it was a history-making day for Denver on a couple of different fronts. They got to unveil Centennial Stadium, and Centennial is one of the venues that they're going to be in this season. They've already been in Mile High. They had 12,372 at Centennial Stadium yesterday. And what we saw and what we heard in the first match that we had your highlights for, Gotham and Gotham and Seattle. Gotham and Seattle. You saw in Denver and Portland. So it was a penalty by Sophia Wilson in the 25th, and then Denver, they got warmed up themselves. Kate Scott and Lori Lindsay on the call. This one was on CBS in Centennial, Colorado.
Sadwine to Means. Looking back post, and that one is in! And the Summits have come from behind to take the lead here at Centennial Stadium. And what a time for her first ever NWSL goal. The rookie Natalie Means makes it 2-1 Summits. What you're doing in the attack, but defensively, the box organization, they have to do better, making sure they're organizing who's picking each other up, because there's been a couple plays as a little under 3 minutes left in first half stoppage time. Ryan on the turn. Yasmin Ryan, oh, what a save by Arnold. So smooth on the ball. Look at her position, knows exactly where the defender is, and that's an excellent first touch as they go quickly. Flint. Gattino. Looked away briefly by Fleming, but Sonis able to keep it in. And that one is in! And the Summits have pulled level in first half stoppage time at Centennial Stadium.
And that was me editing the highlights backwards. So Janine Sinise levels at first half stoppage. Natalie Means scores in the 86th. And they're down 1-0. They go back to win 2-1. So a big win as Lindsay Heaps makes her Denver Summit debut. get their first look in front of the sellout crowd of north of 12,000. 4 seasons with Lyon, came back in January, delayed her finish until after the club season was over in France with Champions League and such. And so it was the Lindsay Heaps unveiling yesterday in Denver in Centennial, Colorado. So going into the matchup today with Boston and Spirit tonight, standings as of right now, Gotham with the come-from-behind win. They're at 30 points, 1 point ahead of Wave. Gotham has a match in hand. Spirit has 2 in hand on the Wave and 1 on Gotham. They're at 27 points. And if they win today, they would be atop the league on goal difference. Portland at 27 points through 16 matches. Utah 27 through 15. Jarrett Smith was there yesterday for the matchup against Orlando. Kansas City Current 25 points through 15. Angel City with the win 22 through 14. Courage 21 through 14. Orlando 20 points through 16. Denver now at 19 points through 14 matches. Bay at 18. Seattle at 17. Boston at 16 after getting their sea legs after their start. Houston's at 16, behind by 1 goal and goal difference. Chicago is at 12 and racing Louisville at 8 points through 14 matches. They are 2-10-2 on the season, and they're 0-7 on the road so far this year. Chicago, by the way, they have only scored 8 goals all season long in 15 matches. They've given up 30, so they're averaging giving up 2 goals a game and only scoring a half a goal a match. So that is the NWSL rundown for what happened yesterday. Once again, Boston, Washington tonight, and you'll be able to catch that matchup. And I believe that one is on Victory Plus. So it's on Victory Plus tonight. Boston and Washington. That one is at 7 o'clock this evening. All right, getting into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. And we will be getting into all of that stuff. There's going to be a lot before and a lot after, but there's going to be that block at 3 o'clock until it's like 6, where it's just going to be on Fox, Telemundo, on Big Fox, and on Fox ONE. You're going to have all of that. The cheapest World Cup final last-minute ticket, $10,000. We had it at 8. Ropes did the research right now. So that is that's where we are with tickets if you want to fly up there and race in and get in the door and be there by 3 o'clock. So we'll see. Transfer talk from early this morning. Your trending rumors. Barcelona have set a deadline of 12 days from now for Atleti to accept their offer to sign Julian Alvarez before they move on. Marca reporting on Barca, that they've made it clear their offers for Alvarez, which have reached €100 million, won't be unlimited. Atleti president Enrique Cerezo has firmly declared the club will not transfer Alvarez, despite interest from Real Madrid, who saw a €150 million bid rejected, and Barca, even with Alvarez admitting he'd like to leave. Alvarez will feature, obviously, today. Rodri wants to join Real Madrid this summer. Jose Mourinho remains interested in a move for him, according to Radio Marca. The Athletic reports Madrid have no intention of signing him. Mundo Deportivo says that Dortmund defender Nico Schlotterbeck won't be joining Madrid this summer, as a clause in his contract that would allow him for around €50 million has expired, and he also got the long-term injury in the World Cup. Villa have discussed a deal to get Nico Jackson from Chelsea. According to Fabrizio Romano, spent last season on loan at Bayern. German club did not take up the €65 million permanent option. Villa now have made contact over a move. Unai Emery is reported to be an admirer. I admire him. Pair having worked together at Villarreal. Jackson is contracted to Chelsea until 2031, so it could be another loan. Manchester City set to block any approaches for clubs looking to sign Tiani Reinders, according to Football Insider. City signed Reinders from AC Milan for €55 million last summer, and his impact dwindled over the year. Was a favorite of Pep Guardiola's. That's led to interest in the Netherlands, with Newcastle, Atletico de Madrid, Galatasaray linked. City are unlikely to sanction an exit. Leicester City defender Ben Nelson wants to leave. Manchester United, West Ham interested, according to the 4-letter paper. 6'5" center back who can play left back, 12 months left on his deal. The England U20 has seen interest from Torino and Borussia Mönchengladbach, but Leicester is holding out for a fee of £10 million. We mentioned the Morgan Rogers deal at 117. And that is all up front. There's no if, ands, or buts. It is all up front. Situation progressed quickly once Chelsea indicated they broadly agreed with Villa's valuation. Liverpool set to sign 17-year-old Colombian youngster Samuel Martinez, with the midfielder traveling to Merseyside for his medical before signing from Atlético Nacional. He'll return to the club before joining the Reds officially next summer when he turns 18. That's from Florian Plettenberg. Fabrizio Romano Garnacho has given his priority to joining AS Roma as he looks set to leave Chelsea. Speaking of Chelsea, João Pedro is not a realistic target for Barca this summer, despite links for the Brazilian as an alternative to Julian Alvarez. Fabrizio Romano, also with Arsenal setting to complete a deal to sign 18-year-old center-back Elijah Upson, turned down a contract with rivals Tottenham to join the Gunners. Ekrem Konur, Liverpool have made Crystal Palace's Adam Morton their top priority this summer, though any deal for the midfielder will cost over £100 million. AC Milan pushing to sign Amad Diallo for Manchester United, even though the Red Devils remain determined to keep him, could reunite with Ruben Amorim, who played 43 matches under him at United and was 10+11 in that time. Juve want to sign Spurs forward Richarlison. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. Team Talk, Wrexham have tabled an offer for striker Bamba Dieng after his exit from Lorient, while Premier League's New Boys Hull City are interested. Football Insider, Liverpool continuing to push for a new right winger as a priority following Mo Salah's exit. Football Insider, Villa have been quoted a £35 million fee to sign Leo Cienza from Southampton as the Premier League club continue to be linked with the deal for the winger. Newcastle and Napoli have shown interest in signing Chelsea defender Benoit Badiashile as the club looks to move him in the transfer window. That's from Nicola Shira. Shira also says AS Roma closing in on the signing of Crescencio Somerville from West Ham after agreeing personal terms. He had been linked to a move with Manchester United. So that is the printed word when it comes to your gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Now let's check and see what it looks like with all of the folks that we like to check in on a daily basis and find out what's on their mind with all of their sources. Norwegian side HamKam are interested in signing Aston Villa forward Rory Wilson on loan. 7th in the Elite Citian, looked set to lose Mame Alassane Niang to Porto. And they have the 20-year-old Scottish striker in their thinking. HamKam tried to sign Wilson in January prior to his loan move to Sturm Graz. They'd like to seek a loan until the end of the year. When their season ends, the U21 International signed a contract extension with Villa in April last year. Highly rated. TalkSport understands any proposed loan would not include an option to buy. Ben Jacobs confirming and reaffirming that the 117 for Morgan Rogers and the 6+1, all guaranteed, no add-ons. Bedat Igbali and Nassif Sawiris are understood to have both been directly involved in the negotiations. See if there's anything else this morning. Chelsea have held formal talks with Crystal Palace over a move from Maxence Lacroix. Palace value him at least £55 million. Jean-Paul Van Hecke's move is being used as the yardstick. Hull City signed Matt Targett on a free. He was available after leaving Newcastle. That comes from Alex Crook. And the Chelsea pitch, according to Ben Jacobs, to Morgan Rogers was as a left-wing starter. Equally comfortable and impressive as a 10. Versatility, a part of the appeal for Chelsea, but Tully's joining under the impression he'll play on the left alongside Cole Palmer. Xabi Alonso, and we mentioned Bedat Igbali, big and convincing to go. So Michael Olise has a record 7 assists at the World Cup, by the way. All-time World Cup assist record held by Diego Maradona was only 8. Heading into the tournament now held by Lionel Messi with 12. Mbappe becomes the all-time World Cup goal scorer at 22, 10 in this tournament. Villa is in advanced talks with Milan for Pervis Estupiñán. The player has already agreed to the move. And I was trying to see if there's anything else. Villa inquired on Nico Jackson during talks with Chelsea for Morgan Rogers. Jackson's future, according to Jacobs, one to watch. Same for Liam Delap, who has interest from multiple Premier League clubs. Both players are seeking clarification on their role under Xabi Alonso. Expected that one of the two will depart. Middlesbrough, by the way, they're going to get over £20 million from the Morgan Rogers deal because of a 20% sell-on. Great piece of business, by the way, only picking him up for 8 in the first place. So, big piece of business for Middlesbrough. Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert, with looking at anything in the local purview. Portland Timbers, and this was the news that came out yesterday late evening. Timbers are set to name Marty Cifuentes as their next head coach. Timbers liked him for the attack-minded philosophy and tactical sophistication. Previously with Leicester, fired when they were 6 points out of a playoff spot. They won one of their next 15, got relegated, and with QPR. So Marty Cifuentes set to be named the new head coach of the Portland Timbers. So keep an eye out on that. And it was apparently, according to Bogert, down to Thomas Christensen, the Panama head coach, Josh Wolf, and Cifuentes. They had spoken with Jim Curtin, among others, early in the process. And with the move of Curtin to Austin, obviously that pulls him out. But then Marty Cifuentes is now sliding in apparently to Portland. St. Louis City have signed Romanian midfielder Alex Matan on a free. Won MLS Cup with crew in 23, Emmanuel Roșu, based in Romania. As a European journalist was first to report it. Ioan Demey was an assistant on that crew team. Matan had 6+3 last season for Panetolikos. So it looks like Romanian midfielder Alex Matan is heading to St. Louis City as well. Elias Ashuri joins as a Tunisian winger from FC Copenhagen. He's joining San Diego as a DP. First to report was Loic Tanzi from L'Equipe, finalizing a deal to bring in Ashuri from Copenhagen, joining as a DP, 5+7 in 37 matches. Last year, played in all 3 games for Tunisia at the World Cup. So Ashuri looks like he's moving into San Diego from Copenhagen. Matan looks like he is joining from Panetolikos to join St. Louis City. Marty Cifuentes is being set to be named the new head coach for the Portland Timbers. So those are your 3 matchups there with the news that's going on in and around. Meant to mention about USLW before we get out of here, because it was Portland and it was Vermont Green working their way over to Ballard, and Salmon Bay beats Vermont Green in PKs to win the W League title, this time in 2026. And 5-4 in penalties, 1-1 in regulation. Stadium record crowd of 2,096 at Interbay, considering that Interbay usually seats about 1,600, and that's a tight space. Fire marshals, very important relationship to have. Ui Kahue was named the finals MVP and converting in the penalty shootout as well. So 1-1 after 90, goes to penalties, 5-4. Salmon Bay is your champ, knocking off Vermont Green in the final for USLW League. Looking at what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, once again, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis. That link is important, helps them out, helps us out, helps you out when it comes to all of your streaming and all of the services that you have and what you might be lacking. You get all of the be-ins, and I mean all the be-ins. You get everything going on Middle East and North Africa, WAFCON coming up around the corner. You get all the qualifiers for World Cups regardless of age group. You get Champions League, AFC, AFCON, CAF, all the things. You get their activity in Europe with the Polish League, the French League, and what's the third one? Poland, France, Turkish League. That's the third one. And everything else that goes on with BN. They have ties to Tigo Sports. They have ties to CATV, which means you get the Libertadores, you get Sudamericana, and you get some activity in Central America as well. You get a lot of the A and B divisions. Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. CDO Plus out of Chile, TVV out of Venezuela, unless you already have a particular cable package that has it available to you. TVV is an add-on currently in the setup at Fanatis. You also get TSA out of Argentina. I think their tournament activity starts at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So keep an eye out on TSA all day. I imagine that their coverage of the World Cup will be off not just the chain, but the entire bicycle. So today, what to watch early anyway, it is Big FOX, Telemundo, Fox ONE. Match kicks off at 3 with Spain and Argentina. Don't know if you've ever heard about it. But that's going to happen pregame leading up, 3 o'clock kick from the Meadowlands, and people are still complaining about the grass. 3 matches, MLS NEXT Pro, MLSNextPro.com, MLS YouTube channel, 1 football. Connecticut FC, Red Bulls 2 at 6. Sporting Kansas City 2, Loons 2 at 8. Real Monarchs to come to Defiance at 9:30. Peacock, once again, Peacock/Telemundo has your final as well. Victory, once again, Boston, Washington. That is on at 7 o'clock after everything is done. And a rest day for the sport tomorrow before Sudamericana kicks back in on Tuesday, as well as Liga MX, and midweek with Sudamericana, USL Championship, Major League Soccer. Everybody's online and rolling in the midweek. So basically, it's a day of rest on Monday where no one's playing, but there's a lot of news to get into, and we'll be here for it. Then you'll have Sudamericana, Major League Soccer in the midweek, USL Championship in League One in the midweek, NEXT Pro in the midweek, Scottish League Cup in the midweek, Northern Super League, USL Championship in League One, and that's going to get you toward Thursday and Friday when everything kicks back in again with schedule compression in Major League Soccer. So everyone's going to be online again on Sunday before MLS All-Star Week happens in Charlotte. MLS Next happening on Monday, goalie wars and all the things, and then the matchup against the best in Liga MX a week from Tuesday. Did you get all that? I hope so. By the way, if you haven't had the chance and are a subscriber to The Athletic, Arthur Galocha and KK Rebecca Lai broke out each and every goal call from Telemundo. And they broke it down. They listened to and downloaded all 307 over 103 matches on 9 announcers. The longest goal call, 52 seconds when Comenencia scored for Curacao, and they drew level with Germany. Andres Cantor was on the call there. 5,440 seconds, slightly more than 90 minutes of goal calls, and you can listen to the whole thing in your car if you want to. They literally have turned it into one audio file. But then they also have, behind that one, they have the top 9 longest goal calls from the tournament that Telemundo has. And so they got to kind of break it down. Average length of a goal call by commonly spoken language of the scoring nation, Spanish by 2 seconds, 23 seconds. Then average length of goal time by time of game, 17 seconds leading into extra time, and then in extra time it went 30 seconds on average. Average length of goal by stage of the tournament, the group stage, shortest, you get into the semifinals, goal calls go for 30 seconds on average. And what they did is they did a breakdown of what the call is in Spanish on Telemundo. What they needed to do also is go to Football de Primera, where we've been running highlights, and it is longer than what you're seeing on Telemundo. But I know this is strictly television. Then they break it down with words, layout, length of time, the whole bit. They talked to Luis Omar Tapia. They talked to Andres Cantor. And so what they've done is, as an example, and like I said, this was great work by the two of them and with Dan Shanoff. They actually came up with a device where you could take, and they've laid the goal call, the Curacao goal, just as an example. They have Andres Cantor's call on Telemundo and Ian Dark and Landon Donovan's call on Big FOX. And they have a fader bar available to you where you can go 100% more Telemundo, you can go 100% FOX, or literally you can listen to it 50-50 in each ear, just for that Curacao equalizer that made it 1-1 in the matchup against Germany. So a fun yet labor-intensive assignment for Dan Shanoff, for Arthur Galocha, and KK Rebecca Lai. The goal behind the goal. I'm going to post it here in the chat and let you, if you wish, have fun in seeing what is there. So your requested required reading, if you have The Athletic, go to the New York Times website, and there it is. So that is the rundown of everything today, I believe. So let me say check off, check that, did that. And thanks again to everyone and all of you for having a hell of a run with us on weekend mornings. And it's been fun to be able to continue to share the stories that are going on, because just because it's weekend doesn't mean that things stop. So it's been fun to be able to bring them to you, and however long we've had to tell the stories here on the weekends, whether it's World Cup, other leagues, combination, all the things. So my request to all of you today. Enjoy it. Have fun with friends. Enjoy it. And we'll have a story one way or the other. I'll tell you that. North of 1 billion people will be watching. I know a lot of folks will be watching Soto, Decatur, insert city here where you are and where you're based and on all of that. Find your watch party, even if it's under your own roof. Invite others to be a part of it with you. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We got a lot of folks to come on the show tomorrow to break it all down, especially with your thoughts as well. Abe Gordon's going to join us. Kevin Hewitt from Kennesaw State is going to discuss the aspirations and what you learn from looking at big game crews and things like that. Kevin Hewitt's going to be joining us from Kennesaw State about 9:30. Bart Keeler is going to join us at 10. Glenn Davis is going to join us at 10:30, and we're also going to take a look at Tuskegee University Golden Tiger Soccer. We're going to spend 2 days, one day with the men, one day with the women, and we'll have that interview at 11 o'clock after Glenn Davis. We'll obviously talk about what happens later today, but a cavalcade of stars on tomorrow, an even longer cavalcade where we may break the sound barrier again, starting at 8:30 on Tuesday morning, Wednesday being what it is, and then getting into everything involving Major League Soccer and schedule compression and a match week on Wednesday and Saturday and Sunday and the whole thing. But today, enjoy the experience for what it is. Have fun with it today. Enjoy it today. And we'll be talking about it with you with Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game from 2 to 6. Atlanta Soccer tonight, 6 to 9 on the network. On 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app, 6 to 9. Jason, Maddie, me, Cast of Thousands, all of you guys from Brew House, South Downtown. And it'll be fun to see what's going on and keep track of everything as the world determines a champion from the Meadowlands kickoff at 3 o'clock. So catch your breath, get your food, get a full stomach, get everything all orchestrated, and get yourselves to your celebration wherever it is, large or small, quiet or loud. Just enjoy today for what it is. Thanks to all the leagues and all the teams for letting us continue to tell their stories on a daily basis. World Cup takes center stage 3 o'clock this afternoon and a little before with the 90-minute pregame show and at halftime with an elongated halftime, but we'll have it all broken down for you. 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, Abe Gordon 2 to 6, AST 6 to 9, and then we're off and running again for another Reaction Monday on the SDH Network. So from everybody here to all of you there, thanks for breaking it down with us as you always do. Since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. We get to do this. See you in Soto all afternoon. Atlanta Soccer tonight from 6 to 9, 92.9 The Game, and the Odyssey app. Mucha Plati, I'll play it safe. We'll see you outside.